Afternoon session is always a challenging session because it is the end of the day and we are very much tired and so many constraints. So we have a very power-packed, enthusiastic, vibrant person, Bindu Narayanan ma'am, who is a corporate trainer. She's from Mumbai. So here to handle on a very difficult session on self-awareness in a teacher's perspective. There is morning we had a session on what is self-awareness and so now here ma'am is to discuss on like how we could touch upon all those concepts in a EI perspective for a teacher. So thank you ma'am and I extend a warm welcome to you for joining us and thank you for your time and thank you for your consent to deliver the session. Thank you ma'am. We are very happy to have you and I now call upon Kavita to introduce the speaker to the forum. Over
Thank
to you
you.
Kavita.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege to introduce our today's speaker, Bindu Narayanan, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation, ma'am, first of all. Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, Bindu Narayanan, ma'am, is a corporate and institutional soft skill trainer from Pune. Ma'am has more than 12 years of experience and she's a passionate trainer. She has successfully trained over 2,000 employees and professional students in English language competency, accent utilization, verbal ability, interpersonal communication, and soft skills. Ma'am has completed her MBA Finance and certified level 4 Directive Communication Psychology trainer, accredited by American Institute of Business Psychology, USA. And ma'am is certified trainer from British Council. Ma'am holds the trainer certification from British Connections. Ma'am has also completed her diploma in training and development from ISTD. Ma'am has certified psychometric test professional from Carlton Advanced Management Institute, United States of America. And ma'am is also a certified assessor for soft skills and English language competency from National Skills Development Corporation, Government of India. Ma'am's main objective is to assist, motivate, and drive individuals and teams to reach optimum efficiency by enhancing and developing their personal competency. So, ma'am's mantra is always delivering more number of sessions that are highly interactive, experiential, and enjoyable. Ma'am is serving as a freelance trainer. She's handling corporate and institutional assignment also. Ma'am has successfully coached students from IELTS for IELTS exam. Ma'am has served many organizations and educational institutions like IBM, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, Kirloskar, Tata Technologies, Havells, Symphony, and various engineering and management institutes. Ma'am has conducted many training modules on verbal aptitude and soft skills for campus placements to various IT companies, team synergy, time and task management, campus to corporate, personal competency development. So I think ma'am Bindu Narayanan ma'am is the right person for this particular topic, and the floor is yours, ma'am. So now, without further ado, we'll turn our time over to our speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kavita ma'am. Thank you so much, Priyadarshini ma'am, for having me here. And my gratitude definitely goes to Tagore Engineering College for conducting this wonderful FDP on EI, emotional intelligence, which is a dire need, all the more required in the times to come. And I am happy to be here today. And as Priya ma'am rightly said, in training jargon, the afternoon session is called as the graveyard shift, right? So it is like we are almost into a lull after our lunch, looking forward for the end of the day. So the afternoon session is where like we pitch in most of the activities. So here also like we will try to make it enjoyable and make it worthwhile for the time that you and I are putting together. So I understand that emotional intelligence has been the topic that have been dealt with for over like 2.5 weeks. So you all should be enough and more emotionally intelligent by now. Nothing much is going to be, like required to be shared from my part. So what personally, whenever I conduct the session, I try to make it as practical as possible, because a lot of theory is there already. So somewhere we make it practical, somewhere we make it relatable, so that at the end of the 1 hour, we have at least, like, say, itsy bitsy little thing that we can take away with us. When we talk about emotional intelligence, and today it has been given as like the self-management aspect of emotional intelligence to be dealt with, this pandemic has taught us enough and more of self-management like nothing else has taught us till now. So from suddenly being thrown from a classroom system to an online system, it has been a huge change for many, because we are only looking at the brighter side, where we have those tier 1 city institutions where people are exposed to technology a little bit. But then, like in the tier 2 and tier 3 and all that, where people didn't even have mail IDs, and even they have gotten into this online mode of teaching, starting from the scratch, from the baby steps that we have taken. So தமிழ்ல சொல்லுவாங்க இல்லையா, யாரோ பெத்த பிள்ளை பாவம் தனியா புலம்புதேன்னு, like loosely translated, like, some poor soul is blabbering alone. So that's how all of us educators started this journey, looking at the computer, looking at the camera, not even sure of if we have students on board. But from there, we have learned, we have managed ourselves better. Life has taught us so many things. So in this huge area of self-management that has happened, includes a lot of those itsy bitsy small areas of management that we have done for ourselves. But still there is, a way to go. So we will talk about that, and we will, like, try to understand how to manage ourselves a little bit better, so that we become more emotionally empowered at the end of this journey. So let me start my PPT. Yeah, I hope you are all able to see the PPT.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Fine. So as we discussed about this, we are talking so much about EI. So, like, do you actually think that this EI is such a great concept, or is it just like one other thing that has actually caught on to the wave, and because of that we are thinking that it is an important concept? So I would just like to take like 2-3 minutes to throw upon a little bit of background information, because always when we understand why we are dealing with something, helps us to deal that thing in a better fashion. The fundamental aspect of all these things is intelligence, right? We are all in a zone of trying to define intelligence even now. We have not, it continues to be an abstract topic. We have all these things that are like, in the basic thing, it is your ability to acquire knowledge and skills, and so many other things as written in here in the PPT. But so if I have to ask you over here, can you name at least one person whom you consider to be intelligent? Quickly. Go ahead and contribute in the chat window. And I would request somebody to read it out for me.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Participants, you can post it in the chat box.
Let's make this session interactive. Oh, intelligent person is wife.
Okay.
Very intelligent answer.
So we should hats off to Surat sir.
Is his wife remotely attending the session?
No, madam. I feel she is intelligent to manage many things.
Okay, wonderful. So do we have any other answers?
Students, ma'am.
Students.
Yes,
Okay. Otherwise, as personalities, when we have personalities, whom do you consider as intelligent?
Abdul Kalam sir.
Okay. Okay, fine, fine. So what happened? Yeah. What happens is most of the time, even after so many things, when we think about, okay, like he is very intelligent, when we say, oh my God, he is very intelligent. So the first thought that goes towards is like he is good with some mathematical concept. He is good with certain discoveries, or he is quick to understand certain complicated things, and he's in a position to explain those things. We still contribute all those things. So that's why in a fraction of a second, or as a very quick reflex reaction, we do not name any of these personalities. Some of us end up doing it now at this juncture. But like say whether it is Medha Patkar or any of A.R. Rahman, yeah, SPB or Lata Mangeshkar, all these people, why is it we don't immediately say as, yes, these people are intelligent? Because that was how the notion was intelligence for a long time, till the time Howard Gardner came up with his multiple intelligence. I'm sure you would have been exposed to this. So we are not getting into detail of all these things. I just want to run through it as a foundation. So multiple intelligence here, if you talk about, he defined intelligence in 8 different spheres: linguistic, mathematical, logical, spatial. And if you look at it, you have like even naturalistic. So all these activists, all those people who are into like say botany, agriculture, so they have a different type of intelligence that you and I do not have. So people who are with body movements, who are good with
Great.
like athletic activities and
case
stuff, they have this kinesthetic skill. So you have very many intelligence, and if you look at it, we have these 2 important intelligence that have been defined here: intrapersonal and interpersonal. Intrapersonal is nothing but how I handle myself. Interpersonal is how I handle myself with others. So today we are going to concentrate on this intelligence, intrapersonal. So why I say all this is for us to understand that itself is an intelligence. The ability to handle myself better is an aspect of intelligence. It is not something which is taken for granted. And once again, that for the very same reason, it is not something that anybody can do. We know some people who cannot hold themselves well. And so we really think 10 times before entrusting a responsible task to them, because this intrapersonal intelligence is lacking in them. And these 2 aspects of intra and inter came together as emotional intelligence. Now, this matrix is something I'm sure you must be getting even in your dream nowadays, by the 3rd week of EI training. So all of these things. So once again, what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about the self-management zone. So self-awareness is in depth about connecting with yourself individually. So in fact, just like say 2 weeks ago or something like that, I did an extensive thing on self-awareness. So intricately going down to like getting aware of who am I, what do I understand. Now once I know that, I need to manage myself. For that, I need to definitely exactly identify my emotions also. And on the right, now when we are talking about it, we always like, what is self-management at the end of the day? Self-management is nothing but holding my ground, knowing when to behave, how to behave, and in which scenario, what should be my behavior and what should be my action at any point in time. What is action? It is nothing but the emotion, a physical form of emotion becomes the action. And where does this emotion come from? Emotion comes from your thoughts, your words, the underlying so many aspects. Like the iceberg concept, we are all at depth of so many emotions and feelings, and these things do contribute and bring in certain emotions. And if these emotions are not managed well, the actions take a hit. So this self-management at the crux is, when we say self-management, it is not that you have to control every damn emotion and you have to, harbor all those things till the time your heart breaks off. That is not the thing. The self-management concept is the understanding of which emotion can I express, which emotion should I divert, which emotion should I just neglect and allow it to pass by. So this awareness and management, if we have, most of our complicated thinking will get solved, trust me. So if you are happy, it is not that express that happiness. Like, so if when you are working with your students, a student who hasn't been performing well over a period of time started to perform well. Do you express your happiness at that point in time? We are all very quick to jump towards the negative and then blow up the negative. So do we accentuate the positive at that point in time? So do we call that child, call that student and say, like, I notice that you have made a change. You know how much difference that will make to that student. So this is where you are expressing your emotion and you are also like receiving it back from that particular student. If once again, like, there are certain ground rules that have to be expressed in the thing, where do you bring in your assertiveness to you might have see, the thing about whatever management is, it doesn't matter what we are going through at a particular day. When we show up at work, we have to show up and we have to run through the day, because our students do not deserve to get the backfire or the backlash or of the get to go through all the impact that our emotions are affecting us in any way. That is a fresh day for them. So when certain ground rules have to be laid out, irrespective of what the situation is on the other side, at that point in time, that is my classroom and these are my students, and I have to establish my control in an assertive fashion. And anger, this is a very strong emotion, and in many personal and the professional domain, it has ruined people to ashes. So this is an emotion. Should you express it? No. Should you control it, like put it inside? No. When, how do? You learn to distract, divert, disintegrate that, so that over a period of time, it doesn't quickly arise the way it does. And when we talk about management, we have to understand it doesn't happen like that. Whatever it is, when we say, like, we all will be having certain areas where we have to work on, it's very aligned to the physical component: physical body, emotional body, physical self, emotional self. Do we become healthy in a day? Do we gain weight or lose weight in a day? It takes time and consistent effort. It's exactly the same of how we have to become emotionally intelligent. We have to work through that consistent effort continuously. Yeah. So is it that, like, we have only now emotional intelligence is something that is now, which is like really has come up, and people haven't been emotionally intelligent all these years, haven't not managed themselves at all? So if you look at Bhagavad-Gita, it says, दुःखेष्वनुविघ्नमानः सुखेषु विगतस्पिरः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते, which actually means that person who holds his ground in face of adversity, in face of misery, able to control the pleasures of life, or able to stay away from the pleasures of life, and able to control the feelings, strong feelings like fear and anger, has actually taken victory over self and life. So this, see, when I look at scriptures or when I read any of those things, I don't read it as a religious concept. Neither do all these things mean like really heavy things that we cannot practice in our daily life. In simple things, when they say like the one who holds his ground against troubles or against misery or whatever it is, or those things, little things that happen to us every single day. It is not like, one fine day some major trauma has befalled on us, and it becomes difficult for us, and we are only talking about that misery every little day. Like, you get scolded by your boss, you are very irritated because like the students did not show up in the class. Now you established a particular assignment to be given, and it is not getting submitted. So many things, in the way we organize, in the way we deal, there are so many pitfalls that come every day in small things, and these small itsy bitsy things are the ones which are going to come together as a main issue. So these things, how we manage, is exactly how we manage life. If we are going to get worried over all those things, then externally I can say, oh my God, okay, fine, I'll manage. But internally, if I have all these things bothering me, it will all catapult into a stronger emotion and burst out. Things don't show up in a day. So very similarly, when they say the one who is staying away from pleasure, what does that mean? It is self-discipline. Self-discipline is nothing but a very integral part of self-management of emotional intelligence. And what is pleasure? Pleasure is not like, we are only talking about material pleasure or sexual pleasure. That is not all that is talked about when we say pleasure. Pleasure is gratification, immediate gratification, as simple as that. Okay, I decide to go on a diet. Now there is a cookie, loaded with cream and cheese and stuff. So that is pleasure for me. So do I give in to that pleasure or do I not? So like when we are dealing in a classroom, so it is very easy, like, you want to, something is bothering you, and in certain cases that the educator is not able to differentiate his feelings from how he has to handle that and put it across. So in some way or the other, in some cases it comes upon to a student who has nothing to do with it. Now even in this case, it is a subliminal pleasure, as in, okay, I have vent out my feeling, I have taken out my negative feeling on somebody else. But an emotionally intelligent person will immediately recognize that and hold back from diverting his negative emotions to a wrong person or a wrong place, and find the correct way to do that. And it very clearly talks about controlling very strong emotions like fear, or for example, and to go forward. And in considering anger, the second one very specifically says, krodhat bhavati sammohah, sammoha smriti vibramah, smriti bhranshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. So this is like, anger is that emotion that clouds our judgment, that clouds our reasoning, which totally puzzles the memory. It takes away the clarity from the memory, which in turn kills the intellect and destroys the person. So this we know very many times, how out of anger we have got ourselves into issues. I know in corporate training, things have actually, people have lost their jobs because, like, they got fired badly by a superior, and of course what that superior did is not right, fine, correct, but at the same time, what the response we give or how he handled that also matter. So this person in rage, in a very rage, he wrote to his close friend saying, I wish I could kill him. So because that was the rage, he was like, that what the superior did was absolutely not correct. But in the rage, whenever anger comes, a strong emotion comes, we have the typical a response, of a hunter gatherers, whereas something like very difficult comes up to us, like all the blood comes up and rushes to help us deal with it. And in that case, the intellect is completely clogged. We don't even realize what happens, the flight or the fear response. So in this case, like what happened is, instead of sending the mail to his friend, he sent it to the person himself, to the superior himself. And this is a very strong statement to make. And in certain organizations, such things are taken very seriously. It got escalated. He was asked to leave, wherein the superior was only reprimanded with certain strict instructions. So this we have faced many times, that when we react in anger, we then, once the entire system cools down, then it takes only like what, 2-3 minutes, and then we realize, oh my God, what have I done? What have I spoken? What have I written? What did I behave as? What happened to me? And then we go about 10 times, and put in 10 times more effort to fix all the damage that we have done. So anger management is an extremely important concept. And if this is only an aspect of it, and from there everything comes, like it then it disintegrates into fear, it disintegrates into guilt, it comes up into regret. So many things come up, step by step in this process. We also have a lot of things said by very great people about managing our own selves. You can, if you are interested, please go ahead and read Art of Living, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. They are all very philosophical stuff, but then like when you take time to read, take time to interpret, it definitely helps us. So every religion has said, even like know thyself, this is what like Bible says, Buddhism says, or Hinduism says. Every religion has reiterated that if you can manage yourself, you manage the entire world. The entire world can be perfect, but if we don't manage ourselves, that is not going to help. So the very first aspect is like, when we talk about self-management, it is the perception that is the one that stems this entire concept of self-management. If you look at it, all these are pictures, right? Somebody looks at a 6, and for some it is 9, and you have the other one. And the story of elephant is a well-known aspect. Each one blindfolded is asked to touch upon the elephant and define what that is. And they all define, the one who is touching the leg is talking about it as a strong pillar. So each one, like to the part that he is exposed to, understands the outer reality, whereas the outer reality is something which is totally different. And the same perception becomes like a fundamental aspect to most of our self-management issues. As an educated in the classroom, how do I perceive the things that are happening? Now there is a student who is lying with head down on the table. How do I take it? Do I take it as like, oh my God, he is insulting me, I'm talking here and he is insulting me? Or do I take a little time and give a benefit of doubt and say, could there be something that is bothering him? Could there be an issue that he is unwell? Could there be an issue that he has come to the classroom after having gone through something really bad in his hostel or home or whatever it is, he or she? And maybe then you could like, see, these are the things that I practice whenever I do. If I say stop it, and then I gently go there and I, because the way of how we deal, the respect that we give to the students automatically comes back, and they know whom to take for a ride and whom to be genuine with. And we have to earn that respect as educators. Respect is always that which is given and not demanded. So I would go to the student and gently ask, like, if something is bothering. And there are many, in certain cases, many times it has happened that we in fact, like, I had a girl who was married, and so that her kid was unwell the previous night completely. So she was awake taking care of the kid, and then she fell asleep in the classroom. So we do have situations where genuine situations. So how do we perceive those things when we have students who are chit-chatting, like all the side talks that goes through in the classroom? How am I going to perceive that? Am I going to perceive that once again, like, how dare these students do that? They don't get marks, and on top of it they sit and talk in my classroom that also. Or we say a little thing is, okay, fine, I was there in that place 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I have also done those things a little bit. So let me draw a line. Let there be how it is. So same thing, like if such a situation has to happen, I would, as I'm taking the class, I would say, I know like there is variety entertainment going on in the classroom. So let us put some time limit for the variety entertainment, or I am going to call the entertainers over here to entertain the entire classroom. Then automatically, the things stop in, like, say, some time. Because when you express yourself as being one among them and identify them, and the level to which how we have to be friendly with them is also that we understand. So every relationship has this Lakshman Rekha. Every relationship has the limit to which we can go, and where we differentiate ourselves as educators and as students, and at the same time where we go to that extent and make sure, buddy, I understand you, I understand your feeling, because I have also crossed those things. So this reminds me of a very short story. Now, there was this teacher who was teaching small children, I guess like, UKG or first graders, some addition. So the teacher looks up at a student and then she says, okay, see, I give you an apple, one apple and one apple. How many apples do you have? The child stood staring at the teacher for some time and he said, 4. Teacher went quiet and once again said, became patient. Okay, let me explain to you one more time. I give you an apple, one apple and one apple. How many will you have? Now the child, went about counting with the hands and the fingers and everything, looked up at the teacher for some time and then said, 4. Once again, teacher is not going to give up. It's like, oh my God, if my student is not able to make this addition, what have I taught in the classroom? And she said, now let me try another strategy. Then it struck her, this child likes strawberries. So she looks at him and he says, okay, now I give you one strawberry, and one strawberry. How many strawberries do you have? The child gives the same look to the teacher and he says, 3. I have 3 strawberries. The teacher is now super elated, pats herself on the back. Matlab, like kamal hai. You did it. You know exactly how to teach things to the child. And now with that feeling of accomplishment, she once again goes back to that initial question and asks the child, okay, now I give you one apple and one apple and one apple. How many do you have? The child looks at her and says, 4, right? So after this discussion went on for some time, the final outcome or the understanding was that this child had an apple in his bag. So he said, if the teacher is going to give me 3 and I have 1 in my bag, I have 4 apples. Because as a UKG or a first grader, that is what his understanding is. This is what perception is. What we perceive and what the reality is always different. We give in to perceptions. Perceptions are created by our upbringing, they're created by the thought patterns, created by our predominant emotions, and we perceive things without making an effort to understand the situation. And it is very similar to a wife who kept complaining that, every time this husband and wife used to have their breakfast on their dining table, which was overlooking the backyard of their neighbors. And she used to look at, look through the window and complain every time, oh my God, I can't understand the type of people who live there. Look at the clothes, every time the clothes that is washed and allowed to dry, they are dirty. What can you even imagine the way they must be handling their house? This went on for quite some time. And one day they came to the breakfast table, and the entire clothes line was fantastic, sparkling. The clothes were sparkling. So that day, highly sarcastically, the wife remarked, now do you look at that? Now they can do it. How is it they couldn't do it earlier? So the husband quietly answered, it is just that today I wiped our windows clean. So this is the looking glass that we look at to understand stuff. If we clear our looking glass a little better, it helps us to understand our own self and our own priorities and our own emotions, which will definitely have an effect in the way we deal with our students. Let me ask you one more question real quick. Now I'll give you 10 seconds. Can you count the maximum of geometrical figures that you can see in this picture? Real fast, 10 seconds. And you please start contributing in the chat box. Are there any answers, please?
No, ma'am. Yes, 9, ma'am, from Tamilarasi, ma'am. 8 from Subham, sir.
No,
9 from Satyanarayanan, sir. 8 from Kavya, ma'am. 35 from Satish, sir.
Okay,
9
okay,
from
okay,
Parvin.
fine.
Okay,
Thank
ma'am.
you. So the question is, how many, like you can continue to answer if you think like how many are going to be there. Now that's not my question, because even I don't know the exact answer. So that's not my question. Now my question is, how many kids were there in the bus?
Oh my God.
Any answers?
I think it's 9 from Saundrapandian, sir. 6 from Anita, ma'am. 0 from Subha, sir.
Okay, fine. Like as I spoke, I kept the pic for a little long, but otherwise, ideally the concept is, was there a bus and were there children? So yes, we have kids over here, and anybody who came close to here, it's a good thing. In a simple concept, this whole thing is about the area of focus, where we focus on the emotions that we focus on helps us to identify the triggers, which in turn helps us to manage ourselves better. So the area of focus is very, very important when we are talking about the depth of managing ourselves. Where do we look at? Do we look at all the things that are going wrong with the way we are handling the students, or the students are responding, or the problems that they are arising at the workplace? Or are we looking at the positive things that they are around, the opportunities that are around, where you have to where you have a chance to make an improvement? When there are challenges in the classroom, how do you define them? Do you look at it as a challenge, or do you look at it as a problem? If you look at it as a problem, it is a problem. So so then the entire concept of dealing with that is like with a heavy heart. If you look at it as a challenge, that is something which is a scope for learning, and that is something which will help us to address the issues also in better way. Now if you tell me, okay Bindu, it's nice to be listening to all these things, it's good to talk about these problems and all that, but do you have any idea of what's happening in my life? Do you have any idea of how much problems I have, what all I go through? So it's always good to talk about all those things, but practically it is not possible. Many times we get this sort of thoughts, and I'm pretty sure that some of you might be thinking the same thing. It's nice to hear all those things. I just want to bring your awareness to some of the people here. Paul Kalanidhi, he was acclaimed neurosurgeon in Stanford University. Of course, like an Indo-American, very, very acclaimed neurosurgeon, that also in Stanford. He suddenly started to have some disturbances in his system, which he ignored, thinking that, okay, this is nothing much. But then when it started to bother him a lot and went for the medical checkup, he came to be diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and was given a deadline to live. He went through all the emotions of grief that all of us would go through. Just imagine that our deadline is given to us, right? How is that going to be? It's very, because we always think all the bad things happen to other people and not to me. But adversity strikes. So when we talk about managing ourselves, and in the process of managing ourselves, we give all the excuses of victimizing ourselves, saying that I am the most unluckiest on planet, on for whom all the problems befall. Everyone is thinking the same, and everyone thinks that, why me? Why is it like these things are happening to me? So in one way or the other, there is adversity. So Paul Kalanidhi, would he have thought, such a great neurosurgeon, falling that? But then after going through, grief handling is something of a separate session in itself. So after going through all the things, where you fight with it, where you question, where you bargain with God, like, I'll do all damn thing possible, you just pull me out of it. Finally, where the thing comes is like, now these are extreme cases, but in our individual handling also, where the difference comes is where we accept. Do I accept that I have this issue? Do I accept that, yes, of course, sometimes I suddenly become sad amidst people? Do I accept that I have this I am overwhelmed by fear, which actually stops me from contributing in a staff meeting? Do I accept that I have this particular challenge, or I have this disappointment that is seething deep in me, which is actually not pushing me forward to go and learn new things or even trust people? First, we have to accept that, and that is where like self-awareness happens. So you have gone through so many sessions now of self-awareness, so by now you should be in a position to identify your trigger emotions. So once Paul Kalanidhi accepted that fact, then he said, okay, whatever it is, I'm going to live. So he started to work even more. After the diagnosis, they decided to have a child, and then he also started to write a book. It's called as Memory of Air. It is wonderful, and unfortunately he did not live to complete the book. His wife completed the book. The very similar way, Randy Pausch, if you have very famous name, and his book and his lecture, the last lecture, is something is everybody knows about. Once again, a very good computer professor, computer engineering professor, Carnegie Mellon University. He came down with cancer again, and he had a wife, family, adorable children. But then after going through all these things, he said, fine, now I have to live. I have to live anyway. Am I going to mourn? I am going to dwell in self-pity. Am I going to whine? Am I going to complain and blame everything possible? Or am I going to manage myself? And he chose to do the last. So from then on, he went back to his alma mater. He conducted this very famous lecture called as the last lecture. You can see it on YouTube. It's available. The same thing is available as book also, where he talked about how to materialize your childhood dream. We all wait for that one fantastic time to even materialize our small desires. So he talked about that, and once again he passed off in a short while. Nick Wojcik, who is here, the person who is born without limbs, without hands, without legs, and how he chose to live his life. Did he once again settle into the emotions of self-pity, emotions of guilt, emotions of blame, emotions of sadness, or he came out of it and he said, if this is what it is, this is what it is. Friends, one thing is, as on a personal level, the way I manage myself, or how I look at things, is that we should not expect life to be fair. What we do is we expect things to be fair and life to be fair. And the biggest question is, what is fairness? What is fair according to me might not be fair according to someone else. For someone, like say, for example, taking bribe could be a cardinal sin. For another person, it could be as casual as breathing air. What the big deal? Everybody takes, I also takes. For someone else, he might have his own limit. Okay, I will try to take bribe from those people who appear to be rich, and I will not do it from somebody who is really bad. So what is fairness here? Who is fair here? Every concept of life is like that. We have to just look at life as life itself. We have to look at our job as job itself. We have to look at our responsibility in the classroom as our responsibility to do. Why is it like somebody is getting promoted? Why is it like I did not get this appreciation? Why is it like this particular things keep happening to me? In certain cases, we do not have answers for that. So the way how we are going to manage is like, are we going to sit down with that thing where we do not have any control and make ourselves miserable, because of which our performance is going to hit a rock bottom? Or we are going to continue to do what we do the best? Our time will come. Certain cases, and in certain cases, we will never know why like certain things are denied to us, because there might be reason that we do not understand also. And at least in organizations and stuff, like when the HR share thing, that they do not share it with the employees, but they do have certain major setbacks because of which they cannot move to the next level. So but hold on to their self-esteem, they do not reveal the complete thing also. The same thing applies to all the workplaces. Now we also have this girl called as Lizzie Valaquez. She is supposedly very, very skinny, and she has this genetic condition. And apparently, like, her picture was uploaded in YouTube, and she happened to see there where everybody were commenting as, you should go to the graveyard, you should kill yourself, somebody go and burn her. These top, it has become like sort of uncompassionate thing to just go and slither somebody's life like this. And imagine this girl who already is battling the situation, to see all those things. And at the end of all the comments, there was this one comment which said like, you go girl, you are brave and you can handle that. Now what did she do? Did she say like, the whole world is pretty, all the women around me are so accomplished, they are all good, so why is this happening to me? Why is it that the basic health is also denied to me? And to look at all these comments, but then she held on to that one comment which said, this is once again the area of focus. She held on to that one comment and she said like, okay, now there is this person who is trusting me, and there might be the entire world it is not, so let me trust myself for this person. Maybe there are others who require this thing from me. Then from that moment she decided to go and motivate those who need the most, and she continues to live her life. So it is not that adversity is only for us. We always feel like I am always in an adverse situation. It is adversity doesn't differentiate between rich and poor. It doesn't differentiate between educated and uneducated. It doesn't differentiate between geographical locations, nothing. It is just that it hits people at different time zones at different areas of life, and we have to deal with it and accept it and move forward. Now, this mood meter is something which helps us predominantly in managing ourselves. If you quickly, like if you are able to, like say, plot a point in the x-axis which goes from unpleasant to pleasant, and plot a point in the y-axis which goes from low to high, which is on the energy level, and you just try to get a x point and a y point, plot it together as a graph, and identify which quadrant you are in. It could be like at this present moment, or you could say like, over the last 1 week, like how has been my pleasantness level? How happy have I been? And how has been my energy? Was I energetic enough, or was I getting drained? Did I have to really push myself to do every single thing? Like even to take a single class, did I have to really put in a lot of energy? What was the condition? So if we identify this thing, we understand the zone that we are in. So you have the red, yellow, blue, and the green zone. The red and the blue zones are that which we do not want to be. If we have to manage ourselves better, we have to move towards the yellow and the green zone. And this is something you have to, this really helps in managing ourselves, because when in a blue zone, which means that your happiness quotient or your pleasantness quotient is low, your energy is also low, which does, so it is actually like, that is typically what is called as the blues, the Monday blues, the pregnancy blues, where it's a sad feeling. You're not angry with anybody, it's a sad feeling. So from this, now if you have to move to the right, at least the first thing is try to cheer up a little bit. Try to look at the things that are going right in our life. Try to look at the ways in which we can fix certain issues that we are like, maybe repeatedly there is something going on in our class which is making us dull and not wanting to take our class. So think of activity, think of interaction, think of like, showing some carrot, some reward for students to be attending that. Make it a little more interesting. When the class gets boring, automatically nobody would want to listen. Even we don't want to listen. So from there, you move towards at least the green zone, wherein you feel, okay, fine. Today I really feel that the thing went well. And then slowly increase your energy. Then we can even go to the yellow zone. So if you look at red, you will be surprised that it is in a high energy zone, because anger and fear, they all require that much of energy, and that's why we get drained of energy whenever we get through all this emotion. So we, at any point in time when we identify ourselves, then the immediate next point is the management of that, and then moving towards the right side of the emotion. And how we take control, right? How we exactly take control of the various emotions that are battling inside us defines the self-management concept. And here we have a short video from the movie, Pixar movie Inside Out. So it's about a girl, and some 4 or 5 major emotions of fear, joy, anger, they are all personified, and how at any point in time we are governed by these emotions, and whichever emotion wins, our reaction happens accordingly. So let me play this.
Oh, we just fell down. We should cry.
Sadness, no!
We can't cry in front of other kids! Stop her!
Stop it, Sadness!
I can't help it, Joy. I'm entering a sadness spiral.
Disgusting. She's getting tears on me.
Joy, calm her down!
Okay, how about we stop being sad and, hey, look at this!
I'm doing the happy dance.
Very low, ma'am. Big friends, I do me a happy dance. Hey!
Your desperation makes
How is
me
it now?
sad.
Okay, forget that. How about we turn that frown upside down, huh?
Okay, ma'am. I think for others, Kavita, was the volume
It's
is
okay,
low?
ma'am. Yeah,
It's
no, ma'am.
okay.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
5-second rule.
5, 4,
Hang on.
1.
Got it.
Nice one, Joy.
Whoa! No way! We are not eating that. Discuss. It's fine. It passed the 5-second rule. The grape touched the ground. It's poison. Oh, come on. It barely touched the ground. Wait, what? You know what else barely touches the ground? Stray dogs. Hold on. Toenail clippings. Roadkill. Hippio. Dung beetle. Stop it. Can't believe it.
Shouldn't we do something?
No.
It's a grape. It's not like we're eating broccoli. Ugh, don't even go there. Or boogers. You're evil. Or dog food. Shut your mouth.
My bad.
My bad? That's all you have to say? What about I'm sorry? Ever hear of those words before? They're the same words the doctor said when he handed you to your mother.
Hey, nice job keeping it subtle, Anger. You know, the other emotions are starting to think you can't control yourself.
I can control myself, Joy.
That's exactly what I said. See, everyone? Anger won't get mad at all, even if I say he has cute little baby arms. Look at those little arms. See? No reaction. You guys try. I don't like your face. When I look at it, I think of barf. Oh, disgusting.
You're so short. Your pants are short, too.
Hey, way to keep it cool, Anger. Looks like someone just earned themselves a friendly hug. Let's hug it out, bro.
Don't touch me!
Hey, Riley. Sorry about your book.
Thanks.
Nice kid.
Marsha, where did you get those shoes?
At the haunted thrift store?
Take them back, Marsha! Those are shoes of doom!
Scary. This is gonna be
I
good.
love this part.
She better take back those shoes.
All right, what are we watching?
Fear, I don't think you can handle this. It's a scary movie.
Thank you, Joy. But I'll have you know, I'm not scared of everything.
Oh, my feet! They feel possessed!
Take them off, Marsha!
We are no longer Marsha. We are the shoes.
Oh, okay, I have an idea. How about instead we watch a nature show?
A young deer grazing quietly in a meadow has no chance against the vicious jaws of a grizzly bear.
So, Shoes of Doom?
Absolutely.
Of course, yes.
We are the shoes. We are the shoes.
And now that we've covered today's lesson, let's see who is paying attention. Riley, we haven't heard from you in a while.
No! She picked us! This is the worst day of our life!
Anger, can you calm Fear down? Thank you.
My pleasure, Joy.
What do you think the answer is on page 7?
You're the teacher. If you're so smart, why don't you answer it?
I got this. We'll just mumble something.
The answer is, Marks valedictorians?
I'm sorry, what was that?
It didn't work.
I know, we'll just answer the question with a question.
Is the answer similar to the question we answered earlier?
Oh, okay, class. We'll pick this up tomorrow.
Joy, how did you know how to do that? Do what? Oh, you're doing it to me now. Doing what to you?
That question thing.
What question thing?
That, right there.
Where?
Okay. So this is like, various emotions that are running inside us. In fact, if you have small children, I would really suggest you make them see that, because they will, that would be their first level of awareness of how we get controlled by our emotions, because it's very important that children are taught this. And so the students, we do EI for educators, but EI for students is actually equally important, because they are a very fragile generation now. Yeah. So some of the things, how we manage is we start with our thoughts, because thoughts lead to, ma'am, one question I have, it's already 5. So like, how much more time do I have?
Yeah, you can, how many minutes you need, ma'am?
Let's see. I'll cut down certain things, like say 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. 10 minutes is fine.
Yeah, so quickly,
because
like,
most of, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So here, the thoughts move to emotions, which move to unease and disease. So like, let's first have the thoughts, correct thoughts in place. You know, the words that we tell, the words that we speak to ourselves, you know, forget the interpersonal communication, the intrapersonal communication. That thing triggers the thoughts and the emotions, which talk about the management. So make sure that to manage ourselves better, we are, you know, moving towards assertive words and not only dwelling on the negative words all the time. And these are some of the other simple things like exercise, drinking enough water, caffeine. In fact, like high amount of caffeine actually causes stress. It is medically proven. If you reduce your caffeine, if you reduce your, see, caffeine is not only coffee, like it is there in all the soft drinks. So if you reduce all these things, it shows effect. And of course, meditation, breathing, and any other spiritual practices, they definitely go a long way along with our self-discipline in doing that. So in fact, like I had an assessment, but I am running it out. I don't think I have the time to do that. I'll just touch upon this, which is like for EI and educators in specific, and how do we manage emotional intelligence in our classroom. First of all, be pleasant, be happy with yourself, and have a smile on your face, because we, all of us as human beings, we mirror emotion. So that's why, like when we have a child and we like look at the child and smile, the child smiles back. And we look at like some other like Yankee face to the child makes the same face. So we mirror our environment, we mirror our other people around. So be pleasant. That itself will make, or you know, create a rapport with your students. We have to reach the students' hearts before we reach their minds. So it is like something imperative. Know them by names. Like the sweetest word on planet Earth is our own name for anybody. So make that effort to know the names. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is not meditation. It is not some esoteric stuff. Mindfulness is like being present in the moment without thousand worries of the past and the future. So if we are in the classroom, let us be completely there, present in the classroom, because that time is only for us and our students. And by being completely present, when I mean completely present, it is not like, you know, they're checking our phones 1,000 times, or, you know, checking the messages in between. You know, we give an assignment and we check our WhatsApp. As educators, we also do all those things. So let us not do that when we are with the students. So you give the undivided attention and be with them completely. Empathetic. Empathy is a very, very important emotion or a skill or a trait for a teacher, you know, as well as a doctor, for any person, for a teacher, definitely. So we have to understand a student from where he is talking. We have to get into their shoes, because many times we do not know what the students are going through. We as our generation, we had our own challenges, and today the challenges for them a lot more. Peer pressure, identity issue. They are confused about their sexual identity. They have you know, they have gone through horrible past, whether it is like abuse or whether it is molestation, or their financial status is like really in a bad state. And on top of it, they have to be a part of a system. So they give into the peer pressure, or getting into the wrong habits. So many things happen with students. So let us not brand everything as, you know, these days they are like this. It is not the thing. Millennials by themselves, they are not bad. They need to be understood better, because had these gadgets and the smartphones and the technology revolution and the social media stuff all remained in our times, we would also have been like this only. So let us not take pride in the fact that, you know, we were like a much better generation, like compared to how they are. In fact, they are battling lot more challenges, lot more competition than what we do. So let's be gentle and let us align ourselves accordingly. Yes, don't transfer personal insecurities on students. If I don't know something, I don't know something. If I am not strong in a concept, then I have to make sure that I make it clear to the students. Listen without judgment. Listening is very, very important, because when a doctor listens to us completely, half of our disease is cured. The same thing is here. So just sometimes when the students went out, when the students talk about the problems, just listen without giving solutions. Praise in public and criticize in private. Very important to make sure that, you know, any small improvements that is happening in the class, make sure you acknowledge that, and where you have to give them and give the feedback. I'm not saying everything has to be like nice and sweet. No, that's not the thing. And if of course, like we cannot just take the onus of embarrassing people, especially the young minds, because that will be there with them for a long time. Connect to students at their level. You know, you can say, like, if they are talking about something about Insta or whatever it is, if they have a latest rap or stuff like that, it is good. It is equally good with students. It is equally good with our children, our own children also, because that is something that they would want to be talking also. Use humor. You know, we don't have to be serious. Any place where we have humor, that is a place where we want to be there. We want to be lightened up, because as such we have enough of challenges in our life. We don't want to have a very serious session going on. So whichever, even if it is like a highly technical subject, we can induce humor. We just have to think a little bit, and it peps up the classroom like nothing else. You know, my students just don't get bored in the classroom, because that is the first thing I keep in mind, to keep them engaged. Be genuinely interested in the wellness. Let us take our profession seriously. It is not just a money making profession. We are influencing the students' mind. We are shaping the next generation. So always a teacher is a little more than just a job. So let's if something or somebody is not doing well, let us take a little more ownership. Encourage non-judgmental participation in the classroom. Make sure that, you know, like, you set the groundwork very clear, that it is all the participation that matters, and it is not the right or the wrong, and nobody will be snubbed for that, inclusive of us, you know, as a teacher. Separate the person from the behavior. Let us not completely brand as, you know, like all the time as like, yeah, he delays, he doesn't give me on time, he does this. So it is like that behavior and not the person. Other than this little aspect of delaying things, there may be so many other things that is good in a person, good in that particular student. So just reprimand that behavior and not the person. And it's fine to apologize when we are wrong. We are not like gods to be correct all the time. Sometimes we do make mistakes, and it is absolutely okay, you know, to apologize and say, I'm sorry this happened, and let's fix this. Enhance an environment of respect in the classroom. So we are all adults in the classroom, and it is not only adults, whether it is children, even whatever it is individual respect, right? As an individual, we are respect in you. So like when we say namaste, that's what we do, right? The divinity in me is bowing down to divinity in you. So when we just have all those things in books and scriptures, and we just use that for speeches, we should also use it in practice. Learn to read the non-verbal cues is very important for managing the emotional intelligence of ourselves and the students, because 80% of our action and the behavior is non-verbal. So based upon that itself, like, okay, now is my session going boring, or am I stretching, or is it like the students are not understanding, but they fear to ask the question. So many things we will get to understand if we pay a little more attention to the non-verbal cues. And let us improvise ourselves, and let us improvise the classroom also as an entire concept. So with that, I will stop and end my session, and I really wish that I contributed a little bit towards the concept in place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really a stunning and inspiring speech, ma'am. What you said is really true, ma'am. There is always a gap between what we perceive and the reality, ma'am. I do agree. It's really a true, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am, dear Dr. P. Priyadarshini, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. As Kavita said, it is a stunning session. You did say in a different perspective. So it was really wonderful, and it was like you were talking to each individuals. It was not like you are discussing on a forum, ma'am. To be very honest, it is like you were talking to Priya, you are talking to Kavita, and you are talking to Satyanarayan sir. That's how it was. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining. And even this Masha, I have heard there is a kid at opposite house. They used to say, Masha இப்படிதான் இருப்பாங்க, Masha அப்படி, நீ Masha. So I was wondering, who is that Masha? That kid will be always mesmerized by Masha. So she used to talk to me, Masha, something like that. Now I saw a glimpse of it and I wish to see more of it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Great. So thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. And thanks to all the participants, who also, attended this session. And once again, thanks to the college and thanks to organizers, thanks to Priya ma'am, thanks to Kavita ma'am, thanks to the tech backup who has to be there irrespective of what happens. So,
this is done by our students academy, ma'am. So they are running their own Quick Start Academy. It is a Quick Start Academy. So it is run by the passed out student. So they are working on with this technical, and they are hosting events for many colleges. So in case if you are training or anything, you can get in touch with them also.
Wonderful.
I can
wonderful.
check. So they do that. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
They have become an entrepreneur, ma'am.
They have become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So that's what's the a great thing that you've contributed to your own students, right?
Yeah,
so they end up giving jobs to so many others.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So
yes, ma'am, please.
Leave?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you. You have a good evening, all of you. An awesome evening.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Someone is asking question, Kavita.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. That is.
We can get in touch.
I think Anita, ma'am. She has written.
Oh, regarding hosting. We can do that. Yeah.
Can we also get in touch, ma'am, regarding hosting?
Yeah, sure. We will share the Quick Start Academy number to you, Anita, ma'am. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Bindu, ma'am. Ma'am has left.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you, Kavita. So thank you, participants, for being with us in this evening. And I hope so. It's raining in many places, and we have technical issues. And so in spite of that, you were all very active participant. Thank you all. And we will meet tomorrow by 11 o'clock. And tomorrow we have 2 sessions. And with that, we'll be winding up, and we'll share you the feedback form and few questions for the test. So that is a formality stated by AACT, and we will submit to the AACT, and then once we receive the communication, we will be dispatching the certificates. Few of them are attending for all the 3 phases. If they attend for all the 3 phases, it will be 3 weeks, that is 3 long week FTP. If it is 1 phase or 2 phase, they will be getting separate certificate.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
So many of them have posted. Sorry, ma'am. Many of them have posted. Actually, it is patting on our back, like hats off organizers. Today's session is simply awesome. So I just want to convey to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
so great. Thank you. Thank you, Quick Start Academy, for making it a wonderful session. Thank you all. Anita ma'am, you can text us and to me or to Kavita ma'am. We'll share you the contact of Quick Start Academy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
We'll leave, ma'am.
Yeah, we can leave.
Okay.